So by the end of this YouTube tutorial, you will know exactly how to build a BCG matrix for any company's products and services once you have their relative market share and the market growth rate. So for today's exercise, we are going to focus on Google, whose parent company is Alphabet, and we are going to look at 4 of the products that Google had launched, and is like some of them are like really good, and one of them I'll show you has been discontinued right now. So as you can see here, I've already collated all the data that is required to build this BCG matrix. So we're going to focus on these 4 Google products: Google Search, YouTube, Google Cloud, and Google Print Ads. The data for all of these companies, the numbers that you see here, have been gathered from very different sources. Some of them are taken from different industry reports. Some of them are taken from some references given in some blog. I'll try to put some links in the description below, but you get the idea, right? And some of them are even assumed, as I'll be speaking in the future. So Google search market share in the search engine industry, the search market, is around 90%, as we know. YouTube, the market share for YouTube in the video streaming industry is around 95%. For Google Cloud, which is in the cloud services, the cloud infrastructure industry, the market share for Google is around 14%. Google Print Ads. So Google Print Ads is that business that I was talking about, which was discontinued in 2009. Actually, they were trying to actually digitize the ad placement for traditional newspapers, and there it was not a success, as one can imagine. Now let's look at the leading competitor column, which is very important to understand the BCG growth share matrix. So the leading competitor for Google search in the search engine market is Microsoft Bing, whose market share is around 5%. For YouTube, the market share is 95%, and there is no one single leading competitor in the video streaming industry. Actually, like, the video streaming industry, as we know, is a very fragmented industry. For enterprise, for streaming, for live streaming, there is Twitch. For enterprise, there is Vimeo, and like other services. So some of the big names like JW Player, Twitch, Daily Motion, all of them combined, the market share comes to around 5%. The leading competitor for Google Cloud, which is the cloud infrastructure industry, is Amazon Web Services, which is the biggest company, and the market share of Amazon in that industry is 28%. And for certain data purposes, let's assume that the market share of traditional newspapers was around 5% at that time, just to simplify the data. So this last column, as we can see here, it's actually assumed data. There's no confirmed data for this particular row. So once we have the market share of the leading competitor, we can calculate the relative market share, which is one of the axes for the BCG growth share matrix. So how we calculate the relative market share is quite simple. We just divide the market share of the company that we're interested in, and we divide it with the market share of the leading competitor. For instance, in this case, we will take the market share of Google search and divide it by the market share of Microsoft Bing, which will be B3 divided by D3, which will equal to 18. So the relative market share for Google search is 18. YouTube, it comes to around 19. For Google Cloud, it's around 0.5, 14 divided by 28, and Google Print Ads is 3 by 5, which is 0.6. So we have this column now, relative market share. Next, we need to identify the market growth rate. So there's one formula that you can use for market growth rate, which is the sales in this year minus the sales in last year divided by the sales in last year. So that is a very simplified formula for market growth rate, but I would suggest you use a market growth rate which is verified by the industry reports or some kind of a market analysis that you have done on your side, so that you get an overall understanding of the industry that you are working in. And next, we need the revenue, so that we can estimate the size of each circle in the BCG growth share matrix. So once we have all this data, click on charts, and then we will click on this 3D bubble chart. So this is exactly that we need. We just need to now start with customizing the axes and the titles. So first thing we need to understand here is that if you see the y-axis here, this is the market growth rate. As you can see, it is in the percentages, and the x-axis here is the relative market share, and the size of the bubble is what is based on the revenue cost. So first, to make it look like a BCG matrix, we need to make them intersect like a cross, right? So that is what we want to do first. So let's click on the x-axis here and click on format axis, and we see here what this basically means is actually where can we keep the which value do we want the vertical axis to intersect with the x-axis. So currently, if you see here, the vertical axis is this one, and it's intersecting with the x-axis at 0.0, and we want it to be around in the middle. So let's keep it at 10, and let's see how that looks. Yeah, great. So that looks great. The line just popped it into the middle, and now it is getting centered. So that is good. And next, we need to align the the y-axis. So let's click on the y-axis here, and then click on format axis, and horizontal axis crosses. So now here we need to give y value. Basically, what this value tells is at which value of the y-axis should the x-axis cross, horizontal axis crosses. So if we want it to be in the center of this line, we need to give it around in 15 to 20%, right? So let's give it around 0.175, which basically means 17.5%. 17.5% and see how it looks. Yeah, that looks great, right? That looks great. So yes, it's 17.5% and it's already in the center and it's starting to look some sort of a BCG matrix. So that is good. The one thing that we need to note here is that and we need to change is the axis. We need to reverse the axes, because in the BCG matrix, the left hand side is the high market share, high relative market share area, and the right hand side is the low market share. But currently it is inversed. Currently the low market share is on the left hand side and the high market share is on the right hand side. But that's not how we want it. So we again go here, we click on format axis and we click here values in reverse order. So yeah, great. So it's almost done actually right now. Great. Now we can remove all the unnecessary lines that are here because we don't want them in a visually appealing BCG matrix. So now let's start adding the titles. The axis titles. So we can click here, we can click axis titles, and now we have the axis title here. So this x-axis here, that is the relative market share, and the y-axis here, that is the market growth rate, right? Or just simply growth rate, right? That is starting to look good. Next we insert text boxes. So this is the high market growth rate, but and high on the market share, which is YouTube, and has a revenue of 31 billion. You can just validate it yourself. It has a relative market share of 19 and the market growth rate is 25%. So that is YouTube. You can just remove the outline if you want, if you don't need it. Next we just do a control D and put it here. This one is the high on market share but low on market growth rate, which is the cash cow, which is the search. This one is the Google print ads, which was low on market share and low on market growth rate as well. This one here is the low on market share but high on growth rate, which is the question mark, which is the Google Cloud. Yeah, it's competing with Amazon on this one. So yeah, so and it's already a finalized product. You can try to make it look much better using different colors, but this is the base way to make a BCG matrix. So I hope you like this tutorial, and if you like this one, please subscribe to my channel.